The reaction to Charlie Kirk's murder exposed the left's true face. College students openly called for more political assassinations. Professors used his death to attack him. Baristas at Starbucks mocked grieving families, but it gets worse. The FBI now investigating armed militia groups with direct ties to Democrat politicians. Photos surfacing of Elizabeth Warren standing with the leader of Armed Queers of Salt Lake City, the same group whose director declared sometimes violence must happen. From campus radicals to coffee shops to Congress, the celebration of Kirk's death revealed a coordinated network of hate. And while they dance on his grave, new evidence emerges linking these groups to something much darker. The connections will shock you. First, a word from our sponsor. We recently covered a company called Western Star Resources here on the channel, a gold and silver exploration company. We believe has serious potential for U.S. expansion. Well, it looks like that move is already in motion. Western Star just signed an MOU with the American Corp to push forward their U.S. growth strategy, and here's why the timing is so important. With domestic demand for precious metals climbing year after year, and with the U.S. government making it clear they want more homegrown exploration, instead of relying on foreign supply, companies like Western Star are in a prime position. Now, this is not just about mining, it's about national security, economic stability, and capturing a huge market opportunity. Western Star's expertise, combined with a supportive policy environment, means they're stepping into the U.S. market under the best possible conditions. Could a huge U.S. expansion be next? I would not bet against it. Western Star Resources is making gold and silver great again. They are a sponsor of this program, and we thank them for making it possible. WesternStarResources.com, link down below. Now, everyone's talking about Jimmy Kimmel these days because, well, Jimmy Kimmel just got his ass handed to him. And speaking of asses, Stephen Colbert decided to weigh in on the topic in the exact same mocking way you would expect Stephen Colbert to do so. Well, look at your screen. Do you see what it says there? Stephen Colbert declares, "Tonight we are all Jimmy Kimmel," in a solemn show dedicated to the canned late-night host. Oh, we are all Jimmy Kimmel? I wonder where you got that idea from, Stephen. Are you mocking people saying we are all Charlie Kirk? Clearly you are. Thank God your show's days are numbered too. But it gets worse. Have you guys heard of a game called Roblox? Yeah, we covered them a couple weeks ago. Pedos crawling all over that platform. Well, now they've got a Charlie Kirk assassination simulator. Kids as young as 5 are playing it. Parents are outraged, and parents are outraged. Politicians want to ban it, and big tech is under fire. A Roblox Charlie Kirk simulator. Who the hell? Are you serious? This is just disgusting. Oh my goodness. I didn't think the left could go any lower. But they have. And speaking of lunatic leftists, we've been tracking this story. Jacqueline Garretson. I actually know her, a friend of hers, and I see her at local GOP events quite frequently. In fact, I just saw her at the Charlie Kirk vigil in Northbrook. Well, she's making a lot of noise right now. And you may have heard the story about the Starbucks cup that someone ordered a mint majesty with 2 honeys. That was Charlie Kirk's favorite drink. They asked to put Charlie Kirk's name on the cup. They wrote loser. Well, now the specific Starbucks that she went to has closed their doors and only offering drive-through. Now, just previously, they wouldn't even print the name on the cup, saying it was a political slogan. Did you know that Rudy Giuliani had to get involved. Now, I have it on good authority because we have a connection through the Illinois Review, through Mark Vargas. Rudy Giuliani was out here a couple years ago. I was able to see him speak. So Rudy Giuliani got involved. Here is his post on that. Update: Starbucks employees must write Charlie Kirk's name. He posts this, an update from Starbucks. In response to some conversations on social media, Starbucks shared the following. There are no restrictions on customers using Charlie Kirk's name on their order, and we are following up with our team. Well, Jacqueline went there and couldn't get through. Still no call back from district manager, even though he promised. Corporate hasn't reached out either, despite multiple attempts. Store is closed. The only drive-thru is open, so I can't even follow up in person. That's what they don't want you to follow up in person. And did you guys hear this? Speaking of Illinois, this just blows my mind, right? This is why the National Guard has to roll into Chicago, because of morons like this. This is the mayor of Chicago. Wait till you hear what he says.
That has not. The fact of the matter is, we are driving violence down on this city, and we're using every single resource that's available to us. Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities. The fact of the matter is, we are driving violence down on this city, and we're using every single resource that's available to us. Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that.
Law enforcement is a sickness. Make it make sense. Somebody, please make it make sense. You can't. That is why Donald Trump had to bring the National Guard and ICE into Chicago. Because this guy says law enforcement is a sickness. I don't even know how this guy got into office. Well, I guess Chicago, I mean, they make up their own votes there. They got it figured out. J.D. Vance, 24 hours ago, weighing in on the First Amendment. People are getting fired, you know, talking about Charlie Kirk and celebrating his death and all that. Jimmy Kimmel getting fired for lying. Here's J.D. Vance.
You celebrate Charlie. Justice exists for both the people who repent and ask forgiveness. Justice also exists for people who don't repent and don't ask for forgiveness. I really do hope that the person who murdered Charlie Kirk eventually accepts that what he did was evil and terrible, but we still got to have justice anyway. And I think that for the people who are celebrating Charlie Kirk, look, we have a First Amendment in this country. The First Amendment protects a lot of very ugly speech, but if you celebrate Charlie Kirk's death, you should not be protected from being fired for being a disgusting person. If you're a university professor.
Yeah. Free speech does have consequences. And Mayor Brandon Johnson has his free speech, and it has consequences. Here's Megyn Kelly on the Charlie Kirk show talking about the Starbucks situation. It has reached Megyn Kelly. Jacqueline Garretson saying, "Thank you for shining a light. We're done being tolerant of this behavior." Starbucks press release only confirms their woke culture is alive and well. This is not cancel culture. It is consequence culture. Amen.
Did you see that story, Daisy, of they posted it on X? Somebody, an older woman, a grandmother, went into a Starbucks and asked for that, and they gave it to her, and they wrote "loser" on it. Well, her family unleashed holy you-know-what on this Starbucks to the point where they were temporarily closed when the family went back to find accountability. It's amazing, though. It's like the story's not about some loser who wrote "loser," right? It's about people have had it. They're pushing back Charlie style, because the confrontation was actually very polite, but it was like, you're not going to do this to us.
You're
Did
not
you see
gonna
that story,
do this to
Daisy,
us.
of the
Oh, man. This was the video, the confrontation itself.
All right, we're heading in.
Yeah, I'm not going to play it because the music in the background. Oh, speaking of disgusting people, this one is rough. We posted this 12 hours ago. Mac Tina. Right, it's car shopping. Make sure you skip the Napleton dealerships. Maureen is a repugnant human being and also legal counsel for the dealerships. This is by far the worst comment I've seen. Disgusting. Maureen Napleton writes this. I'd be very happy to dance on this mother effer's grave. If you don't like my opinion, that's a you problem, because I don't give a single unfollow, unfriend, be gone. This man was a monster, and I only hope Trump is next. If these a-holes want to live by the sword, they too die by the sword, and if you don't get that reference, you too are uneducated to comment. Huh. Wow. She says, I hope Trump is next. Maureen Napleton. Napleton. I think that's it's a dealership. That's a local dealership. Napleton Chevrolet. I see them all over. Wow. Such disgusting things people are saying. And this person here says that we need to bring back political assassinations when asked about Charlie Kirk's death.
I've been talking about how violent revolution liberated millions of people, it liberated women, and then our reading for that day was specifically about democratic dictatorship, where Mao writes about, yes, people deserve free speech, but there should not be free speech for reactionaries and imperialists and like capitalists and all these people who are enemies of the revolution, because that would reverse the progress that was made. So the day after Charlie Kirk died, I was in class. My teacher said, I'll give you 5 minutes for hot takes about Charlie Kirk. I was the only person who raised their hand. I said, I've been saying we need to bring back political assassinations. I don't feel bad, and I don't think that everyone deserves the right to free speech. I think some people should be afraid to express their opinion in public.
Wow. Well, you just expressed your opinion in public, and you'll probably get kicked out of your college for it. Who knows? Here we have this. University of Memphis professors Vicky Haddix and Elena Della Vega, two radical far-left extremists and terrorist sympathizers, both used Charlie's death as an opportunity to smear him and lie about the motives of the far-left terrorists who killed him. I'm not even going to entertain. If you want, you could pause it. You could read what is being said here. I am not even going to bother reading this nasty stuff. Assistant clinical professor, School of Communications, Sciences, and Disorders. Well, we know you have a disorder. Trump derangement disorder. Apparently, Barack Obama's weighed in, too. While reflecting on Charlie Kirk's death, Obama accuses the Trump administration of embracing, empowering, and putting the weight of the United States government behind extremist views that are contrary to America's core value. What planet is this guy on? I mean, the Democrats have been saying this for years and years and years. These people just going to gaslight us into thinking that it was Trump? Wow.
I have to recognize that on both sides, undoubtedly there are people who are extremists and who say things that are contrary to what I believe are America's core values. But I will say that those extreme views were not in my White House. I wasn't embracing them. I wasn't empowering them. I wasn't putting the weight of the United States government behind extremist views. And that is when we have the weight of the United States government behind extremist views, we've got a problem.
Yeah, so it didn't happen during Obama's administration, apparently. But it certainly happened during the Trump administration. We got to push back on them. Anytime, anywhere, you see them in a gas station. You see them in a grocery store. You push back on them. You tell them they're not welcome anywhere, anytime, anyhow. Do we have to play the clip again of the extremist rhetoric that's been spewed in our direction during the first Trump administration, during the entirety of the Biden administration? I mean, do you remember that speech that Biden gave with the red lights behind him? Ah, Trump is a threat to democracy. MAGA extremists. Sure seems like Biden was putting the weight of the federal government behind his words. Right? Justifying vengeance against people like Charlie Kirk. Maybe you should sit this one out, Barack. Barry. By the way, can we get the real birth certificate? Please. Spare me, Barack. Stephen Crowder weighing in on, I wonder what constitutes political violence. Let's listen.
Even show you the left right now knows better, but they are trying to lie. It's what we used to call, what we should still call, propaganda. There is more right-wing violence than the left, and they'll even show you a chart. Okay, I will prove to you right now that it's bullshit. Let me show you what's not on this list. What is not included whatsoever as leftist, ideologically motivated violence. All of the violence after the 2017 inauguration. 200 people arrested, far more crimes committed. In case you've forgotten. None of this included in your chart.
Burning cars and smashed windows. A small group of protesters dressed in black, their faces covered, armed with hammers and bricks.
None of this is included in the stat being circulated. This is not left-wing violence. It is not. It doesn't exist.
Today, and more than 100 people arrested.
That is not political violence, according to the stats that you are hearing parroted from the left right now. Why? Because all the charges were dropped. So they didn't include that. All the charges were dropped. Okay. What you just saw was not political violence from the left. Let me give you another one. Do you remember this one? This is not included. And I wanted to laser in on this because I don't think it could be any clearer. As a matter of fact, I don't think you get any cases of more clear political violence, and it comes from the left. Remember the Trump supporter in Portland, Aaron Danielson? He was killed by a member of Antifa. The man's name was Michael Rhino. And before you run the clip, he was shot point blank dead in the street. Why do we know? Because we have video evidence and he admitted it. And he was shot dead point blank in the street. Why? Because he was a Trump supporter. How do we know? Because it was said on camera. For those who don't remember, what you are about to see, according to the charts, according to the methodology, is not political violence. It is not included. We got a Trump supporter here, bang, bang, dead. Not counted as political violence. Any of you want to trust your institutions? I can explain to you why, too, and the method and why it's fraudulent. I don't want to, though. If anyone out there tells you actually more violence is coming from the right wing, you can say, yeah, but hold on a second. The guy who was shot point blank dead in public for being a Trump supporter exclusively was not counted as political violence. So I don't trust any of it. That's valid. That is the only argument you need to make. The left right now.
What's this? Do I need to play this?
But I thought he should have punched him in the face.
Feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. The full weight of the federal government during the Biden administration. Alex Jones says the left is now celebrating Kirk's murder. That was on September 10th. We are all Charlie Kirk now. Yes, we are. Oh, did you see this one? Here is Don Lemon chasing clicks. Remember when he said that we're just chasing clicks? Here he is chasing clicks, confronting Nancy Mace. Now, Brooklyn Dad Defiant, he is a left-wing troll. And he says of this clip, "Dear media, this is how you push back on the misinformation being sold as fact by Republicans. Take notes from Don Lemon." Really? Well, watch this.
I think the issue is that you guys are saying that it mostly happens on the left. No statistic, no government statistic, no study group, the Cato Institute, the Anti-Defamation League, the FBI, no government statistic shows what you're saying. It's showing the exact opposite, that 60 to 75% of the political violence is committed by people on the right. But yet you, the president, the vice president, the attorney general of the United States are giving false information to the American people that it only happens on the left and that it is
false information about Republicans. You guys have called
But there's no facts to what you're saying.
Kamala Harris called us fascists while she was running for president.
The president called her fascist as well.
And you in the media have amplified that. You all have done that. A man was killed last week for having the, quote, national conversation that you want to have so peacefully. He did that, and he was murdered for it. And I live.
You don't know if that's true. You don't know what you don't know what the motivation is. Do you have evidence of that?
Well, they said on the bullets there was fascist commentary on the bullets, pro-transgender commentary on the bullets. Don't give me the bullshit that
could very well be so, but we don't know if that's true right now.
Was a transgender? Was a tranny? Come on, let's be honest about this.
That's disrespectful.
Republicans vote to table.
I really don't care because there are a lot of trannies out there that want me dead because I'm a rape victim who wants privacy in the bathroom. The trannies can F off. I don't care. They want to kill me, and they're not going to.
How would you like it if someone called you out of your name? If they called you a B word or any of that, how would you feel?
These people are calling me a cunt and all these awful names online. Are you kidding me? Come on. They are the most egregious, most violent people on earth. They are mentally ill and should be in a straitjacket with a hard steel lock on it.
I think the issue is that you guys are saying that it mostly happens on the left.
Don Lemon, a disgrace. That's why he's no longer on CNN. Oh, speaking of CNN, Scott Jennings, who goes into the lion's den every night, says, "Last night I was scolded for being angry. You're damn right I'm angry. I'm channeling the anger of millions of Americans who are fed up as the left gaslights us about the motivations and continues to call us fascists after Charlie was murdered over this lie." And you just saw Don Lemon gaslighting right there. So he's up against Montel Williams here in this clip. Scott Jennings versus Montel Williams. Let's listen.
Over and Scott just got all angry, got real mad. Face it, it's gotta be this, it's gotta be this, it's gotta be this. Why can't we have a discussion about how long is it going to take for us to figure out a way to come back together?
Just to be clear, I am angry.
Can we just let him finish his thought, Scott?
I'll let you talk. I knew it.
Scott, I'll let you talk in just a second. Go ahead.
Could we spend as much time figuring out how we bridge this and come back together again? You know, I used to have a note on my producer's desk when I did my show that was said, we don't belabor what happens, we try to figure out why it happens and come up with solutions. Right now, all we're doing is belaboring what happened over and over and over and over again. We're not going to sit down and try to figure out how do we stop it. If we want to
got to go after left-wing terrorists. That's actually exactly the conversation we're having, is we're acknowledging there's a problem.
So anybody who disagrees with you is a left-wing terrorist?
Absolutely not, but if they target a conservative and murder him in brutal fashion, he's probably a left-wing terrorist.
Let me answer your question.
Yes, that person is a murderer. We can all acknowledge that.
You said I am angry, and I'm just telling. I am channeling the emotions of millions of conservatives who are angry. They knew Charlie. They loved Charlie. They viewed Charlie as a mainstream conservative Republican voice who talked about issues that millions of Americans believe. He also talked about his faith. And he did it by going to college campuses, which are not normally hospitable to conservatives, and offering his opponents a microphone to have what we always say.
In support of what? In support of what?
Civil discourse.
Not only that, but support of the First Amendment.
And guess what?
He made sure that people had an opportunity to stand in a room and talk.
He was murdered trying to do what we always say. Why don't we talk to each other? So yes, it's not even been a week. So you're going to have to give us a little grace on being angry about somebody who did what you always say that we should do. Let's talk.
We didn't
and he
get
got
much
killed.
grace over.
And he got
more
killed.
than a week's grace over two Michigan elected officials who were murdered. Did we give? Was it 3 weeks before we decided to say that there was something wrong with Speaker Pelosi's husband being hit in the head with a hammer
by a homeless drug addict? I mean, it was terrible that happened. This is not the same kind of case. This is according to the local officials, as Ellie just told us, a clear political motivation of a guy that a lot of us held dear, that a lot of us considered to be somebody who a mainstream voice. He was not an extremist. He was a mainstream voice.
Pelosi's attacker may have been mentally ill, but he was also politically motivated. I also think
Scott just got all angry, got real mad.
Oh man! Remember that woman or man, Maya Fanine? Well, here they are with Elizabeth Warren, the leader of the Salt Lake City armed queers, now under FBI investigation for possible connection to Charlie's murder. Elizabeth Warren, right there. Conservatives are now demanding a thorough investigation into the Utah militia, armed queers for Salt Lake City, after its director, an Iranian transgender, declared sometimes violence must happen. The FBI is reportedly looking into the group. New York Post confirming that.
LGBTQ movement. Some people say that it takes a violent protest to get people to listen. Do you agree, or should they remain peaceful?
I agree. I absolutely agree. You know, I'm a member of the LGBTQ community, and our liberation and our rights came after the Stonewall riots. That's something that a lot of people don't like to talk about, is that, you know, the LGBTQ movement started with Stonewall riots. I wouldn't even be able to be a student at the school if it wasn't for a violent riot that took place within a span of 3 days. So I absolutely agree that sometimes violent protests and really riots and those kinds of loud rebellions must take place for tangible change.
Some people say that
You wouldn't be able to go to that school if it wasn't for the Stonewall riots? Really? Your application would have been denied if it wasn't for the Stonewall riots? And therefore, riots and violence are justifiable? No wonder you're under investigation. Here we have another one. Arkansas leftist Kerry Rollo, vandalizing a Charlie Kirk memorial, has now been fired, also being evicted, begging for spare change now. Yeah.
He lived as he died, promoting violence. Record all you want.
Well, are you? No, look at this shit. Check it out. Look at this shit.
Fuck off with reactive bullshit.
Yeah, 9-point
Fuck Charlie Kirk. Fuck Charlie Kirk. He lived as he died.
And now she's got a GoFundMe with a goal of $4,500. As of this report, only $205 has been raised through 2 donations. Don Lemon, here he is, asking questions about Charlie Kirk, but instantly gets puzzled when he receives an answer he wasn't expecting.
You
guys are making him out. If you want to know, he shouldn't have died. It was horrible. I don't believe in political violence. But that said, he wasn't a saint or a civil rights leader or icon as you guys are making him out to be. Said a lot of offensive things. They're saying these offensive things are not offensive. They're not racist. They're not sexist. They're saying these things are just truth, that he was speaking truth. What do you say to that?
I don't necessarily agree that it was truth. With my sis over here, I believe that he was speaking division. A lot of the MAGA language, right, and causing division within our country.
But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
Why do you think it's so hard for them to understand? Because they just can't understand, like, what do you mean he was offensive? What do you mean he's racist? What do you mean he's sexist? Like, they just can't understand why some people are conflicted about what happened. And no, he shouldn't have died, but damn, y'all, as you said, y'all are doing too much.
Yeah, live by the sword, die by the sword. But I think it's hard because, like you said, you haven't walked a mile in our shoes. So sometimes it's hard to understand from another person's point of view, right, if you have not lived that life.
Yeah. It seems always harder, though, for us.
It is always harder for us.
It seems always harder, though, for us.
You?
I'm great. Good to see you. What do you think would happen to Charlie Kirk?
It's just messed up, totally messed up. You know, that was messed up. Like, nobody deserved that. He definitely didn't deserve that. He was a good guy.
You think he was a good guy?
I think he was.
Only Kirk
good morals.
Captain Kirk.
The what?
The only Kirks you recognize is Captain Kirk. I don't know Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who it is?
I don't know who that is.
I know who it was. Like, I
only know about him when
all of us have flaws. I can't really tell you what to believe in or how to feel. Like, everybody's having a human experience. Like, why knock him for having this human experience or what he believe in?
Even though even though he says things that are anti-women, black, all that.
I can't judge him for that.
You can't.
I can't judge him for that. But I can use judgment. He didn't deserve that.
Right.
Yeah.
As a human being.
Yeah.
You are very spiritual.
You know, yeah.
He didn't deserve it. Ain't that the truth? Oh, what is this? Americans call for the murder of Donald Trump while calling out Islam. What? What is this? These people are just sick. Just look at these people. George Soros invented the left's Mark Dunny dark money playbook.
Rioters that fast. Yeah, so like you see LA riots and all of a sudden some guy comes by in a vehicle delivering a whole box of commercial grade gas masks. I mean, how does someone get that into the hands of rioters that fast? And does that come from Soros? I mean, tell us where it comes from.
Well, that's what we need to find out. I'm willing to bet a lot of it does come from Soros, because Soros in particular has perfected the dark money charade, the dark money shell game where they move it around through different entities you can't trace. But Jesse, you just think about these riots that began in L.A., that they tried to then spread to other cities that Trump is now shutting down. All of them were planned. None of these were organic. And we know because they all followed the same playbook. Same thing on campuses. The last 2 years, all these campus so-called demonstrations, it's all AstroTurf. It's all fake, because the Democrat Party today is a theater troupe funded by George Soros. The problem is they're also violent. And that's what we've seen in the last week. Once again, we have got to stop the flow of the money. We've got to prosecute those who engage in violence. And we've got to shut down this attempt to divide the country, which the Democrats have been carrying on for years now.
Years now. Tim Walz, 24 Hours. I'm heartbroken and angry about all the people we've lost to gun violence this year. It's time to ban assault weapons. Yeah. So your version of fascism can suppress us? There's a reason the Second Amendment was written by our founding fathers. To secure the free state. Oh, man. Democrats' denial how Charlie Kirk's assassination exposed their disconnect. Here's Gutfeld.
Racist joke. So Charlie Kirk's assassination has revealed something we already knew. The Democrats have all but left the planet. I'd make a headed to Uranus joke, but in this case, they're the assholes. Consider the trends. Whenever something terrible happens, they prove one thing. Their grip on reality is as weak as Nancy Pelosi struggling to open a bottle of Cuervo. They could never talk about the border because the issue was their policies. They ignored red flags like they were directions on a shampoo bottle. They let more criminals enter than Bonnie Blue touring San Quentin. I know. They were a no-show on Law & Order, and our liberal cities had to be rescued by the very man they hated. Blue cities let mass transit become mass anarchy, with commuters fearing for their lives instead of simply enjoying the scent of fresh urine. With trans, they did nothing until parents, not the press, stood up to the mob and let the crazies know that boys are boys and girls are girls. And no more of that none of the above. And here, with the assassination of a free speech hero, they scramble for cover like cockroaches will do when you shine a light on them. They could just say, I condemn this targeted murder, and just leave it at that. But no, they have to add but, however, and we must keep in mind until their apology becomes nothing more than a shovel for their usual load of
And that's what it is. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. This is the sickness that we are dealing with. While a family mourns, the left celebrates. Julia Zhu at Oberlin College wants more assassinations. Memphis professors smear the victims. Starbucks baristas write loser on memorial drinks. But the danger actually runs deeper. The FBI is investigating armed queers of Salt Lake City whose leader met with Elizabeth Warren, same person who declared that violence is necessary. Josh Hawley exposing the Soros money pipeline funding these groups. From campus to Congress, it's one network celebrating death, funded by billionaires, protected by politicians. They weaponized Charlie Kirk's murder to threaten more conservatives. You shouldn't have voted for Trump, they sneer. This is no longer politics. It's targeted intimidation backed by dark money and radical leftist militias. When Democrats pose with terror leaders and act shocked by violence, that's not ignorance, that's complicity. So here's the question. Should politicians who associate with violent groups face investigations too? Yes or no? Sound off below. And if you want to support our work here, just hit that merch shop. Shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, where you can trigger a liberal today.